I got a feeling that you are trying to figure out when it's time to take your business full time. You don't know if you've secured enough clients, secured enough traction, or secured enough revenue. If that's you, wait until the end of this video because we are going to dive into the topic of when to take your business full time. This is such a monumental topic, especially for women in business. When we look at the gender disparity or the revenue disparity facing women in business, here's what we know for sure. If we look at the statistics facing women in business, we know that women-owned businesses average 67% less revenue than their male counterparts. What this looks like is Latina-owned businesses averaging only $51,000 per year, and Black women-owned businesses averaging only $24,000 per year. However, there's always a story behind the statistics. And when we look deeper at women-owned businesses, we find that sometimes that revenue disparity exists because women are only part-time in their business or they have side hustles. So how do you know when it's time to be that woman averaging $24,000 a year with a side hustle to transition to that woman who has a six-figure business? Team, let's talk about this. So I'm honored today to have Kelly Wasson, our Director of Operations from the Big Money Movement here, and Cheryl Parks, our lead trainer and coach. I know we see this a lot in the Big Money Movement. What do you think are some of the concerns or challenges with women discerning if it's time to take their business full time?
So clearly it's revenue, right? Yep. I mean, let's just clear the elephant in the room. Clearly it's a matter of, can the revenue for your business sustain your lifestyle? Yeah. And or not even lifestyle, but just paying your bills, right? Mm-hmm. So that typically is the first question. But from there, it also becomes, it takes discipline. Right. Like you really have to be disciplined and patient when you make decisions about taking your business full time. I will tell you that, so I divorced from my corporate job. And I was making a decision about whether I wanted to launch my business or go back to work for corporate. Right. And I took about 2 years off and actually did some exploration, which is high on the list of what you should do. Yeah. And I actually went into a coding boot camp. God bless all the coders out here. I'm not a coder. So I actually did quite a bit of exploration, just going into different areas to see where my zone of genius is. Yeah. And my zone of genius is in sales and mindset. Right. So I just understood that I needed to stay in that area. The other thing that's really important is knowing what season you're in. So there's a learning season, there's a doing season. Mm-hmm. It is quite okay, we were talking earlier, to take some time and plan and think and refresh and understand and grow before you make that solid decision. But it is a decision, so make a decision. Right. Whether you're going to move forward or not, but don't just let it linger. Right. Yeah.
Agreed. I think, I see different approaches. Like, I joke that I'm the person that jumped off the cliff. Right. Like, I was like, corporate one day, next day, entrepreneurship. Like, there was no preparation. It was just like, I'm here! I'm drowning! Right? Like, pure insanity. Yes. As a coach, I don't teach that because I know what that life is like, and I don't want to be responsible for your struggle. But like, I do understand that, but then there's also what many women do, which is build a side hustle. Like, so how do I build this business on the side? How do I see if there's market proof? If there's a desire for my solution, can I demand rates for this solution? And to your point, can this sustain myself? When I think about like when to know to take your business full time, I love that you talked about knowing your goals, because I think that's first, like starting with what you want for your lifestyle. How much money needs to come from your business for you to sustain your lifestyle, for you to be good? Like, what's your good, better, best? Yes. Like, good, I can live here. Better is like, okay, I can have some vacations, I can feel good. And the best is like, oh my gosh, I never thought my business could do this well. So I think one is setting your revenue goal and knowing what you want to achieve through your business. And then I think it's two, going to the market to make sure that you can secure those opportunities.
Absolutely. I feel like if you're leaving money on the table, if you are side hustling and you're leaving money on the table, there's more opportunities than you're able to keep up with. Yeah. Side hustling and doing your 9 to 5, you have to make that choice. And that is a pivotal thing that I see a lot of entrepreneurs have to decide. And also, I want to share that I feel like business owners need to understand that they're going to be putting on a lot of hats at first. So like you're gonna have the CEO visionary hat, but then you also might have to put on the marketing hat and the CFO hat and the COO if you are truly, if you truly understand what that means for you and your business, and you feel like that's something that you're ready for, I think that's a good indicator for it's time to go full time in your business.
I love it. One of the things that I know we're advocates of, that I think it's important for women entrepreneurs to hear, is success is not one size fits all. And the beauty of entrepreneurship is you get to choose how you want that journey to feel. One of my favorite quotes is Danielle Laporte when she says, the journey has to feel how you want the destination to feel. And so thinking about like why I'm choosing entrepreneurship, why I'm choosing this journey, and how do I make sure it lights me up. And typically we will not enjoy the journey if we're not true to who we are authentically. If the journey is not aligned with our genuine selves. And I think one of the first things that has been critical for me, and I think it's the secret that people don't like to hear, is the importance of discovery and self-awareness. And so I think that when you were talking, Kelly, what you said made me think of is like, you have to know yourself, right? So like, it's not a right or wrong. My personality type, side hustling would have drove me crazy. I'm like, either I'm gonna give this my all,
Me too.
or I'm gonna give my job my all. Like I can't divert focus like that. So that's just what my personality type needed. And I know other personality types are like, there's no way in hell I'm gonna quit my job until I know.
Before you have another thing lined up.
Right. So I think it's self-awareness and being good to ourselves and giving ourselves grace to say, this is what I need for me. And then I get to follow the rubric for what aligns with my personality type. Also, when I think about like the transition to full-time, creating predictability and momentum. Do y'all want to talk about that? Like, how do you create predictability or pipeline or those type of things for your business?
So again, coming from sales, it's all about discipline. Literally, when you start your own business, it's not time for you to, there are plenty of things you can find to do during the day. Trust and believe, you will find ways to fill in your day and think you're working. But you have to have the mindset that I have to be disciplined and create, a list of done for the week. Like, what did you actually complete that moves the needle? In other words, not just activities, but actually moves the needle, right? So an example of that is, I could tell myself I'm going to make 50 phone calls or 50 connections this week, right? But my actual done should be, I have 4 discovery calls scheduled. I have 2 discovery calls scheduled. I have a meeting just to, explore with a network, a person within my network, things like that. And I will say, and this is one of the biggest things that I did when I started my business, get an accountability partner, get into a community of elevated thinkers that can run with you. Because I can tell you that when you start, you're going to have family and friends that are like, this is great, wonderful, go. And you're going to have family and friends that are like,
no. What is wrong? Don't do it, reconsider.
Why would you leave that job? Right? So you're going to get a lot of that, and you just want to really be clear about your vision and the direction that you're going in, so that it can be a lot of noise. So if you're going to hang your hat on all of the accolades and all of the encouragement, just know that you aren't going to be able to ignore the people that say, are you crazy? So you have to be true to yourself. I think you said that earlier. We have to know ourselves.
Dr. Tonya, is there a memory that you feel like you're comfortable just like talking about, or like they came in, they were doing this thing part-time? Here's a point that I was thinking of. I kind of share what my thought is, and you let me know if you feel like you can command that story and make it your own. I was just talking to Dr. Tonya. Dr. Tonya had a side hustle for 15 years in her business, right? So she was an educator, but she had the business on the side. The thing I know I'm all over the place, but I'll kind of share how it was in my head. The thing about when to take your business full time, I think oftentimes people are a victim and they're like, magically, when the business supports itself, I'll take it full time. The thing about sales is it's based off of effort in that time. So why clients come into our program and overnight they're able to go full time, it's not because it was the magical time, it's because they were taking the right effort. And so for me, it's like when to take your business full time is when you're willing to do the work to produce the revenue. Dr. Tonya was part-time side hustling for 15 years as an educator. She decided She made a commitment. She came into our program, and then she focused on the activities that create sales. And then the demand for her business required her to make a choice. And I feel like you want to force the business to have you make a choice. Is there any story you can think of, like when someone took their business full time? I feel like you see that so much.
This actually resonates with me on a personal level. I have a very, very close friend of mine who I was supporting for a very long time, a few years. And she had a 6-figure corporate job, making, great money, great benefits, time off. She had a budding family, and she really wanted to start her online business. And she set the benchmark of, she wasn't one of the ones who jumped and did the free fall, but she had a benchmark to where she wanted to make 4 months of to match her salary for 4 consistent months.
Okay, yeah.
And before leaving her corporate job and going full time on her own. And she did that for 3 months consistently, and then fell off that last month, and then had to start over from scratch. So she was able to end up doing it, but it was just amazing to see and fascinating to see that you can successfully side hustle. You can successfully set a benchmark for yourself and not do the free fall.
I love that. And do you think everyone has to go full time?
I don't. No,
Yeah.
I think you can scratch that entrepreneurial itch without going full time in your business. You just have to really, Liz, that speaks to what you were saying about just like personal branding and like digging into who you are and what you want.
Yeah.
But I definitely think you can be part-time entrepreneur successfully just fine.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think it's about the decision. I love your story because it was about her discipline of saying she could have gotten to month 3 and said, "Oh, this is looking really good. I'm just gonna do it." But she was like, "No, I missed it," and went right back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I love that part.
And the accountability of, she told her husband, she told her friends and family, and we were like, "Oh, that's not 4 months. That's not 4 consistent months."
Exactly.
So she went back and made that promise to herself, and I know that she's so glad she did.
I love that.
How does this land for you? Are you looking at taking your business full time? Do you feel like you just want to scratch that entrepreneurial itch? Have you set goals for yourself? What I hope you take away is that you get to determine what this journey looks like for you. But if you are ready to secure these big money deals and land these 6-figure corporate clients, then I want to say that you can connect with us. We are the Big Money Movement team, and our passion and commitment is empowering women entrepreneurs to consistently land 6-figure corporate clients. I got a feeling that it's going to be a good night if you decide it's going to be a good night, if you commit to taking the effort and giving from your overflow. This is LizJSimpson signing off. Peace.